Hello everyone, my name is Elaine, and I want to welcome you all to my Advanced Unison League Mages Guide. When last we spoke about the Mage class, I explained the class's basic build, gave you some ability set suggestions for the first 3 rings, and some other helpful tips for beginners. Today, I'm going to pick up right where I left off and give you guys some advice for the class's latter 3 rings using the same format as the beginner's video, suggesting ability sets for every situation you might find yourselves in. Now let's jump into it. Please note that these are just suggestions, and other sets may work better for you depending on your needs and those of your allies. The weapons you equip may also grant boosts and bonuses to certain moves, making them a better choice for you, so please keep this in mind. Last time, in our Unison League discussion, we ended with the High Sorcerer 3rd ring. For PvE, I suggested EE, Photon Crush, Mystic Mastery, and Photon Strike. For PvP, the same as PvE with a potential cheer swap. For Calo, everything the same but guard in place of EE. Okay, for Serial now, the latter mage rings. The Wizard, the 4th ring. For PvE, so things like normal quests, keep EE and Photon Crush. Swap Photon Strike for Skewered, which has an ability power of 110 and deals magic damage to one enemy 2 times. Its added effect is that it reduces the target's magical defense by 10% for 15 seconds. It has a combo effect. When used after Photon Crush, it attacks twice for magic damage with an ability power of 120, a 10-point increase over the non-combo version. It also increases the magical defense reduction added effect to 20%, a 10% increase over the non-combo version. Since you're keeping Photon Strike, you always have the potential to combo and make your ability even stronger. Although Skewer takes a hit in ability power, it's 40 points fewer than the non-combo version of Photon Strike. It hits a single target twice as opposed to once, allowing you to do more damage than you would with Photon Strike. Their added effects are the same no matter if you're using a combo or not, so no loss there. The decrease in your target's magical defense should also help to increase your damage output. Furthermore, there's only a 3-second cooldown difference between the 2 abilities and a 4-point cost difference, which shouldn't be too noticeable. Photon Strike has a cooldown of 5 seconds and cost of 11 when it's not enchanted, and Skewered has a cooldown of 8 seconds and a cost of 15 when it's not enchanted. Finally, swap Mystic Mastery for Absorption, which has a short cooldown of 6 seconds and a median cost of 13. Its ability power is 180 and deals magic damage to one enemy and their adjacent enemies with a max of 3 enemies. Its added effect is that it heals yourself for 10% of the damage dealt. It has the ability to combo when used after Concentrate or Skewered, which you have equipped. It deals magic damage with an ability power of 200, a 20-point increase over the non-combo version. Its added effect remains the same. I like this ability because it has the highest ability power available to you for a mage at this point in the game, assuming you take only from the mage rings. Furthermore, it's an area attack, allowing you to whittle away at the health of more than one enemy at a time. Its low cooldown is an added bonus since you can continue to use it in rapid succession and in combination with Skewered. It also doesn't cost a ton, which is often helpful for newer players who may struggle with cost management. Finally, the ability heals your health as you sap health from your enemies. This is extremely helpful in many different combat situations, especially when you don't have a cleric on board to heal you when you're hurt or the cleric has run out of cost or used all of their heals and needs some time before they can come to your rescue. Oftentimes, this ability gives you just enough to get by to complete the quest or be rescued by one of your teammates. For PvP, so things like guild battles, use the same as PvE with the potential cheer swap. I would probably get rid of Photon Crush or Skewered if you need cheer to run your guild's cheer strat. For Calo, use guard in place of EE. You start with enough cost, you won't need it. Then bring the rest of your PvE set. The Arcana Lord, the 5th ring. This is when you start unlocking some really good abilities, so we're going to do an ability set overhaul here. For PvE, swap EE for Fanatic Soul, which consumes 30% of your max HP, recovers 25 cost, and increases the critical damage ability power of all allies by 20 for 40 seconds. It cannot be used when you have less than 30% of your max HP. This ability is essentially EE's beefed up big bad brother. Not only do you gain 5 more cost per use, but you gain a special buff you didn't before when you were just using EE, which can help increase the damage output of both you and your team. The cooldown also remains the same between the 2 abilities when they're not enchanted. After that, swap out all your remaining abilities for Undermine, which has an ability power of 200 and deals magic damage that uses both magical attack and defense to one enemy. Its added effect is that it heals yourself for 10% of the damage dealt. Calamity, which has an ability power of 160 and deals magic damage to one enemy. Its added effect is that it reduces the target's unison gauge by 5. When used in combination after Undermine, which you've equipped, Blood Oath, which you will equip, or Empress Bind, it deals magic damage with an ability power of 240, a massive 80-point increase over the non-combo version. Its added effect remains the same. And Blood Oath, which has an ability power of 140 and deals magic damage to one enemy twice. Its added effect is that its ability power increases for every 5% of HP you are missing and heals you for 5% of the damage dealt. Most of these are simply beefed up versions versions of the abilities you had before. I like Undermine because it has a super short cooldown of 5 seconds and lower end median cost of 12. It also uses both magical defense and attack to deal damage, stats that should be pretty high for you given the typical mage build. It will also scale up really nicely when you're buffed since it uses both of these stats. Finally, it heals your health, which is really great if you're dying and need a little help because your cleric is out of cost or just plain imaginary for your current run. I really like Calamity because of its growth potential when used in combination with one of the other two abilities you equipped, Undermine and Blood Oath. Its added effect of reducing a target's Unison gauge by 5 won't help you in PvE, but will come in handy in PvP when you need to give your team a bit of an edge in Unison. Battles. I like Blood Oath because of its potential to grow even stronger when you're injured, and its ability to heal you as well. For PvP, the same with potential cheer swap. For this one, it's pretty hard to decide which to swap for cheer if you need it. If you're tankier, swap Blood Oath out, I guess. If you're very squishy, perhaps it'd be best to go with Undermine since its damage output doesn't scale based off of how much AP you're missing. But then again, Undermine heals you for 10% of the damage dealt as opposed to Blood Oath's 5%. For Calo, bring Guard in place of Fanatic Soul. Keep Calamity and Blood Oath. Consider swapping Undermine for Ominous Omen or Barrier. Ominous Omen reduces a single enemy's Unison gauge by 30, making it much harder for them to gain Unison and unleash a monster that will destroy you and your team. Barrier is a cleric ability which reduces the physical and magic damage taken by one ally by 30% for 30 seconds. It has a 30-second cooldown, so you basically use it and by the time it wears off, you can use it again. And it has a median cost of 15. It's great if you or one of your teammates is particularly squishy because it'll increase survival. Since the other team scores points each time someone on your team dies, this can be essential to securing your victory. And then use an attack replacement ability if you have one. I didn't mention this earlier, but this should be the case across the board. Drop that basic attack like a hot potato as soon as you're able. The Zodiac, the 6th ring. For PvE, keep Fanatic Soul but swap out the rest of your abilities. The first new ability I would take is Siphon, which has a low cooldown of 6 seconds and median high cost of 16. It is usable when a staff is equipped as your main weapon. It targets one enemy with an ability power of 140. Deals magic damage 4 times. Its added effect is that it heals yourself for 5% of the damage dealt. Its combo effect is that when used after Lunatic Ray, it deals magic damage 4 times with an ability power of 150, a 10-point increase over the non-combo version. I like this ability for 2 reasons. First, it hits your target multiple times. Second, it heals your character. Once you get to higher levels, this will often keep you from needing the assistance of a cleric to remain alive in several quests, especially those of a median difficulty or lower. The next ability I like to bring is Starburst from the Tower of Judgment. It has a lower cooldown of 8 seconds and median cost of 15. It has an ability power of 70 and damage one enemy 5 times with magic damage and ignores damage reduction and damage reflection at success of 80 points. Although it has a low AP, I like this ability because it hits the target multiple times and ignores both damage reduction and damage reflection. The downside is that it has a chance to miss. If you don't have it, go with Ancient Spell, which has a median cooldown of 10 seconds and higher cost of 20. It is usable when a staff is equipped as your main weapon. It activates the following effects if you take no damage for 3 seconds after using this ability. It targets all enemies with an ability power of 150. It deals magic damage randomly 10 times with a success value of 70. The target changes with each hit. Its added effect is that it confuses a target for 10 seconds, with a success value of 70. So Ancient Spell is really powerful. It hits multiple times and has a decent AP. I, however, prefer Starburst to it for a few reasons. First, Starburst has a lower cooldown rate. Furthermore, it has a higher hit percentage than Ancient Spell, a 10-point difference. Third, Starburst ignores damage reduction and reflection, unlike Ancient Spell. Finally, you can't take damage for 3 seconds or Ancient Spell doesn't go off. Starburst doesn't have this to deal with, and if you're super unlucky like me, this is a good thing. I'd rather have my ability go off consistently as opposed to nothing to show for my efforts. The final ability I would take is Miserable Burst, which has a lower cooldown of 8 seconds and higher cost of 18. It targets one enemy and their adjacent enemies, a max of 3 enemies with an ability power of 200. It deals magic damage 1 time. Its added effect is that it reduces a target's status ailment resistance by 20 for 15 seconds. It has the ability to combo. Its combo effect is that when used after Concentrate or Ancient Spell, which you probably have equipped, it deals magic damage 1 time with an ability power of 220, a 20-point increase over the non-combo version. Its added effect is that it reduces a target's status ailment resistance by 30, a 10-point increase over the non-combo version, for 15 seconds and reduces their Unison gauge by 10. The latter half of this combo added effect won't help you in PvE, but will be helpful in PvP. Outside of that, I like this ability because it's an area attack with high AP. Reducing the target's status ailment resistance isn't great, but it's something that may increase the odds of Ancient Spells Confused actually landing. In cases where you're running Crystal of the Sacred Altar quests, swap Miserable Burst for Arcana World, which has a long cooldown of 50 seconds and median cost of 15. It targets all allies and increases fire, water, wind, light, dark, time, and star elemental attack by 4 for 40 seconds. Its added effect is that it removes debuffs from the targets. Arcana World is great for this quest specifically because it'll increase the damage output provided by both you and your allies' elemental gear. This will drastically increase your score for this event, which is ultimately something we all want. For PvP, bring the same as your PvE set with a potential tier swap. For Calo, bring Guard in place of Fanatic's Soul. Then either Ancient Spell or Starburst. Starburst tends to be a little safer since you don't know if you'll have a Rook on your team who can protect you with the devoted sacrifice. Bring Miserable Burst, especially if you bring Ancient Spell because of its ability to reduce the target's Unison Gauge when used in combination with Ancient Spell. An attack replacement ability in either Emperor's Bind or Ominous Omen. Both abilities are from the Tower of Judgment. Emperor's Bind has a low cooldown of 5 seconds and a low cost of 10. It has an ability power of 190 and deals magic damage to one enemy. Its added effect is that it reduces the Unison Gauge of the target by 5 and reduces the target's physical and magical defense by 10%. It has a combo effect. When used after Undermine, Blood Oath, Calamity, or Starburst, which you may have equipped, deals magic damage with an ability power of 200, a 10-point increase over the non-combo version. It increases the physical and magical defense reduction added effect to 20%, a 10% increase over the non-combo version. This ability is great for dealing damage and reducing enemy uni gains. The low cost and cooldown are an added bonus. Ominous Omen has a long cooldown of 40 seconds and high cost of 20. It reduces a single target's Unison Gauge by 30. This is great when it comes to keeping all of your enemies from getting Unison or initiating a Unison battle where they all throw up monsters. Since monsters more or less dictate the winner of any PvP battle, this move, which severely limits your opponent's ability to use their monsters, could be essential to your team's survival and victory. If you don't have them, borrow Barrier from the Cleric Rings. Before I close, I just want to specify that all of the abilities I'm talking about are their non-enchanted versions. Enchantments may adjust your set a little more than anything else, such as the skills that come on gear. And now, that concludes my Advanced Unison League Mage's Guide. I hope you found my guide helpful and feel better prepared to play Unison League. I wish you all the best of luck and thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please smash that like button until it's blue, subscribe and hit that bell so you'll know what's up, and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help, and we'll be adding more Unison League class guides over time to expand your breadth of knowledge. Anything that's already up will be found in the description down below. Happy gaming, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye guys!